ashes after today. We'll have his ashes and we'll make arrangements for a get together and a gathering and
after COVID.
After COVID and get everything sorted out. But we'll let you guys all know. So yeah, thanks for that. I'd like to make special mention of all the apologies, people that couldn't make it. Dino Hunter came up last night, said his gave us his condolences, and but I had to head back to Auckland. Good to see him. He was there. He was here late, about what 10 o'clock, eh, Dave? 11 o'clock. But he had to head back, so good for that, Dean. So yeah, I'd just like to mention the family members that couldn't be here. Sarah's family, Poda, YY and Joseph, Joe and Sue Williams, James, Evan, Kiriana, Michelle and Craig, Ethan's mum and stepdad, Kerry, Carl and Glenn Holland, Rachel and Lindsay, Rochelle and Lindsay, Brian Carter, and his lady. Yeah.
All my mum's family.
All the Pondo crew who couldn't make it, and all the aunties, uncles, Wendy, Mike and Kay, Dice family.
Let them roll Social Riders Club.
And special mention to the Riders Club.
Skipping through half the names.
Trevor Dorr, Phil and Tanya. Who's Tanya?
The names.
Richard Brady, Neil and Helen Herbert, Karen Johns, Roy Burkus. Yeah, so just like to thank my dad for all the good times we had, all the good years we had, and special mention to all the support crew that have helped us being here today, and hopefully we'll get a bit of a feed on later on today after we see Dad off, and to get his box filled up. So thank you all for coming today anyway, and appreciate everything, especially you, Dad, for holding up for level 3. He only just made it. He kept on saying, get me out of bed, I got some corned beef to go and sort out, some steak to go and pack. We said, no, Dad, you got to stay there. So it was good to see him still in his mind, he was still active. Although the body had, the ego was right in our cheeks, the body couldn't cash. So, yep. So good on you, Dad, for that. You're a fighter right to the end. He even had a beer with me 2 nights later. He saw me sitting there and I was having a beer and he was going, what's he drinking? And the guy goes, do you want one? He goes, yeah, I don't want to see Shane drink all my beer. So yeah, right to the bitter end, he just held in there. Good on you, Dad.
Must have been the Irish coming out of
Oh yeah, there was a bit of Nana there. There was a bit of Nana saying, I ain't missing out, son. So yeah, so just like to, yeah. Bit of a sad time for us, so we'll no doubt have a beer tonight and relive some of the old stories like we did last night. So yeah, no. So yeah, kia ora everybody, and we'll keep you posted on what's happening. So, all right, anything else? Yep. Oh, you want me to sing a song? Sarah will sing a song.
Yeah. We did our songs last night.
Go.
And we have a song set up for later.
Have we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
We just to clarify, Uncle Grant is buried at by the farm at the back of Moeroa in Ōrauta, and Granddad's cremation ashes will be joining Uncle Pug there, and that's when we'll do the memorial service and get together at the farm for everybody. So just to sort of clarify what's happening, and Granddad will have a plaque with Uncle Grant's headstone. So obviously Diana has been a big part of our lives and Granddad's life, and has done a great job at looking after him. She's written a poem, and we're going to ask her to come up now and share that with us.
Loving memory. She was Basil Holland. Across a sun-kissed ocean, a marlin leaps within the waves, as we honour our gold Star Fireman and the many lives he saved. A pillar of our community, a legend in our small town. Tales will be told of deeds so bold as the sun is going down. And deep beneath the ocean shine precious pearls of love. Kevin's pride and joy, his three fine boys, Pug welcomes him home with love. A symphony of fleeting kingfish, a cascade of falling stars, knives are flashing and guns are blazing, a butcher in the bars. The best smoked fish, salami and sausages, a legacy to be proud. Our hero was a cowboy, he stood out in the crowd. Lightning strikes a tempest ocean, waves come crashing to the shore. Goodbye, our hometown hero, in our hearts forevermore.
Wow.
So we had our corridors last night to Granddad, our little family, and we went around and it was quite hilarious. But you literally can't sum up Granddad in a speech. Yeah, he just, you can't say he didn't get 100% out of life. He squeezed everything out of it. And he probably carried on working 5 or 6 years more than he should have. But I knew once he finished butchering, work was such a part of who he was. He would struggle a little bit, like some people do, to find their meaning. But the time that we spent together as he got on well, the most of that was everything to him. And anyone that knows him would have known what he would do for all of us. People think he's generous and he's a party animal and all these crazy things, but to us smokers and the boys, he spoilt us in lots of ways. So the boys had to work hard, but then when I came along, it was all being spoilt. So yeah, he would do anything for us family. So as he got older and a little bit sick at the end, he wanted me to know that setting up his family and investing in his family with love and land and hard work ethic and all those things was what he was proud of. So yeah, I'll before Uncle Dave has his eulogy, I'd like to invite anyone up that wants to speak or read anything.
Good on you, Tyler.
I wasn't unfortunately be able to be here last night, so I missed out on all of the stories and stuff like that. But I thought I'd just get up here and say something on behalf of us, me, Danica and Alan, and just say that we love him and miss him already and stuff like that. And a memory that I have of Papa recently was over this past year I used to take him down to his doctor's appointments in Whangarei and stuff like that quite often, and we used to go get lunch together and stuff like that afterwards, and it was just like taking a teenager shopping, a slow teenager, and he'd just grab everything and do everything his own way, and he'd be like, I want this off the menu, and he'll just chuck the money at the people and walk away, and I'm like, you need to get your change. And so yeah, I always cherish those memories for a long time. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Kia ora, Bill.
thing is I'm so grateful to be his daughter-in-law for quite a few years, you know, and the loss we had of experiencing a pug going, how he did and all that, it was like so traumatic, and it's actually pulled us all together as a family, you know. It's just been so incredible, and he was just it was just so neat, you know, the fact that he even got me through my job that I go and help the elderly, and he got me to do it, and it was like a real honour to actually get to go up there and just, and when I was there just doing the dishes, he'd come out and he'd sit there and talk to me, like, you know, it was just that real neat thing, and that's the whole thing, because everybody knows him. Yeah, he's like an incredible, generous man and a real hard worker and a hard player, and that's what he was, but he had this incredible heart, and like we all know that, you know. I'm just so grateful that he was pretty much my, you know, I'm a ring-in, but you know, he was like my father-in-law for 30 odd years, you know, and I'm just so grateful. He was an awesome man.
Good everybody. I think everyone here probably knows me. I'm Ian Donaldson. Kevin and I were the best of mates for many, many years. We went down a lot of roads, we did a lot of things together, lived together at times, but Kevin was always a guy that if you're ever in the crap, he'd be there to help you, always. I was just thinking, since he passed yesterday, that I'm probably one of the last of us left. Would that be correct, David?
Back then, yes, yeah.
Yeah. But it's a very sad day for me to hear of it. But at least we realise that he's now in peace and no more pain. So I'd just like to very briefly say to all of you here, my condolences from the Donaldson family to the Hollands and their extended families. For those of you that probably all know, I have 3 daughters, and they're all about the same age as the 3 Holland boys. They all went to school together, they all got into mischief together. There's probably a lot of things Kevin and I knew about them that they don't know that we knew. But we won't go into those details, and those things will have died with Kevin, and the rest will go with me. But anyway, on this very sad day, it's very nice to meet you all again. All the best.
Thank you.
Yes, this man Kevin. You know, all the stories you hear about him, you know, they were true and that bit more. He opened my, you know, he enjoyed his drinking, no doubt about that. But you know what happens when you get in the group and people drink? There is always an altercation. Well, Kevin enjoyed that as well. You know, he really did. So, you know, one night this group of us was out outside the Star Hotel, and all of a sudden, those days, well, it's still got its back wing doors, a bit like a Western style. Out comes this guy flying back out of the bar. And then he says, holy hell, who's shooting one another? Well, anyhow, this white chap comes out and he says, come on again. And everybody says, hey, bro, that's your brother-in-law. Oh, well, I couldn't do anything anyhow because he just said, leave me alone and get out of it. Well, he carried on to deal with this guy. If this fellow had only shut his mouth, it would have been all over, that's it. But no, his mouth was going, and while his mouth was going, that just riled up Kevin even more. Yeah, the poor chap. And then, anyhow, it petered out, and then he came over and he came and says, oh, was that you? He reckons I couldn't see. I thought you were one of his mates. I was happy on that. But, oh, yes, Kevin. And then there are the times, like I'd be up the farm and finished work. We'd finished work about 10 o'clock. And I wonder if his mum cooking something. She's cooking some pancakes were the things. What are you doing? She said, oh, I'm waiting for my man to come up. And it was Kevin. Kevin used to come up and he's found her a bull, of all things. Found her a bull, and I think they were from up here. Well, you know, just listening to them on the table, them talking, you'd think they were big time cattlemen. You know, they had goes way back. Kevin had these papers that would, it's like the whakapapa of these animals. You know, he was so thorough. And my mum really appreciated that. His advice was the only advice she had listened to. Not from anybody else. If there's anything to do with butchering, he was the only person that she'd listened to. I don't know how many times that she's told all our family, no, you go and see him, go and see him. And so actually we did. So in all, like all my siblings, we kept in close contact with Kev. Even though after, you know, as things, the worlds drifted apart, we were still in close contact with Kevin. And we really do appreciate the advice he gave to the family. And I don't just include me, I include everybody else. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Oh, Uncle, you are a legend and you are a rock that we don't miss. But thank you very much. You was always there for us, always. So, on that note, all the best, Uncle.
Lucy Dora Holland, everybody.
Oh, let's not go there.
Lucy in the sky with diamonds.
Oh, well. Well, thank you all for coming. It's not the farewell we all envisaged, but that will come later. We intend when we get a chance. I don't know when Shane will be here, but we'll go down to the farm, or maybe haven't decided actually where at the moment, but we'll go down and Shane's ashes will be taken. No, his ashes will be taken and he'll have to do the yumu. But anyway, he's going on ground, and a plaque will go up on ground, which is really nice, because I asked him if he wanted to go to Kawakawa and be with his mother and father. He said, "No, I don't want to go to Kawakawa. Nobody goes there." So I said to him, "Well, kia ora, that's right." And so he'll go up with Grant. And to me, the rightful place for him to go. But first to the Donaldsons, lovely to have you here. You know, hey, from the time we walked into Kaeo, it was the Hollands and the Donaldsons. In that half of his life, and made it worse. These three beautiful little girls, and they were the same age as my naughty little boy. so yeah, and last night I have to tell you the story. where they go down to Kingfish Lodge for the midnight thing on New Year's Eve, and Judy rings up about 6 o'clock in the morning. Is Lisa up there? I need her. Go and find where Lisa is. I said, well, that's going to take me a while, because there were bodies here and bodies up in the shed, and there were bodies everywhere. And so I go looking anyway, and I said, I'll call you back because it's going to take a while. Anyway, when I called her back, I said, oh, Lisa's not here. No, Lisa's not here. She said, but she went with him. They all went down to the Kingfish Lodge. And while I'm thinking, my God, someone else is missing. I said, hey, Jude, Grant's not here as well. They're both missing. And I thought, oh my God, what's happened? I hope none of that. Anyway, it turned out that Lisa was going to the toilet, and she said to Grant, go and tell the boat I'm going to the toilet, I won't be long. No, Grant didn't go and tell the boatman they're waiting. He stood at the toilet waiting for her as the boat sailed away. So they were left down at Kingfish Lodge with no boat, no nothing, and they talked someone into bringing them back. And about 8 o'clock we got the call, Mum, come on, we're down here, come and get us. We're tired and we're hungry. and that's just one of the little stories. I know there's bigger ones than that. And so that's Judy, Ian, this would what's happened today will never be the same without you two here. And the thing, because that is history. That is a part of us with him and Kevin and my boys, and it was a lovely part of our lives as well. And it's a sad day, but again, it's been a good day. Because yesterday, on Monday, was my birthday. So I was saying mentally to Kevin, don't you die on my birthday. And you better die on Tuesday so we can all go. So it was very good he listened. Yeah, it was very good he listened. But in the time we were here together, he was a good provider and a good husband during the day.
We'll leave it there.
At night, it's another story. and that was like, and he lived it to the fullest. And good on him, you know. I look at myself now and think, oh, I better get stuck into life. I'm a bit slack. Yeah. But anyway, Kevin, and the part that really warms my heart is he will be with God.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nan. Uncle Dave's going to join us now.
Right, while Kev was sick over staying with Di, and I got the pleasure of asking him what he wanted to do with his eulogy, how he wanted it, and it was my honour to write it all down for him. And so Kev was born on the 27th of the 9th month, 1943. And he was born in Kaeo Hospital. And his first memories were of Whangarei, where they used to stay up on the top of Kamo Hill there, a place called Fisher Terrace. And he stayed near his grandmother, who was Nana's mum, and I called her Nanan. And because there's actual Hoey Street up there as well. And And so Kev, Basil, Kev's father, worked for Cecil Hoey, painting houses and stuff and hotels down in Whangarei. And then Uncle Cecil ran out of work, so Basil scored a job up at Moerewa at the freezing works, and this is during war years. And so Basil used to go and they'd kill the beef one day, and then they'd put the beef in the chiller, and then they'd go down to the boning floor the next day and they'd bone them all out. And then all the beef used to go to down into the bottom of the works where they had the boilers, and they'd cook it all up and put it straight into the cans for the World War II soldiers, and it would all be sent off overseas. And my dad went to Moerewa Primary, same school that we went to, Primary Ashe. And then he went on to Kawakawa High School, and that was before it was Bay College, where Ellen is now, Indonesia was. And he had a sister called Zita, and he was 16 when she passed away. She was a victim of a horse riding accident where she was riding a horse and fell off and banged her head and had an aneurysm and passed away. And I think that hit my dad real hard. Yeah, he said when he was telling me, it was pretty cut up. And that's where I believe my mum and my dad first got their little romance going.
Where?
Bay College. Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, and Kev made the first 15 at Bay College, and he was also a fair gun at hurdles, because he was 3 times Northland champ for hurdling. Yeah, 3 times. And then after school, he left school, and he went up to Hoey Street with Nanan, my great-grandmother. Stayed there for 1 year, and he was a draftsman for the Postal and Telegram, P&T, they called them back then. And he was drawing the layouts for all the phone cables and stuff, and in the streets and that. And he said he used to go down and have to measure, and then go back and do all the drawings, and they would lay all the cables according to his drawings. And it was about then Mum rekindled her relationship with Kev, and they married up the farm, eh, Mum? Yep. And then not long after that, his sister Pam died, eh? Yeah. And she was buried in Nelson. He said he was real hurt that he couldn't go down to the Tangi.
Yeah. At that stage, when he married, he moved to Hamilton. Then he moved to Pew Pew in the King Country, and he looked after the farm, and he was the slaughterman for the butcher shop, and would go down during the day and work in the butcher shop.
Yep. Before he worked at PP, he was at the Horatu freezing works. And Mum and Dad stayed at Marama Street in Hamilton, which is near the lake. And that's about when Shane come along, eh? Round about
Yes.
Shane never came anywhere. He was just there.
We became mates, he said. Yep. And at Marama Street in Hamilton, they were staying with this guy, boarding, leasing a room from this fella, Charlie Dyer, eh, Mum?
No, Paul Dyer.
Paul Dyer. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, cousin. He's a cousin of mine, but we were all at school together.
Paul Dyer, yeah. And then they moved to Pew Pew, which is in the King Country, and along came me. And Kev was the slaughterman for this fella Jeff Andrews. And he would kill the beef with a pithing spear. I wouldn't even use a gun. It'd stand above the beef and spear them down through the top of the spine here. Cut the spinal column, and the beef would drop dropped like it was hit with a big gun, man. And they just open the door, roll them out into the killing pens, and strop them up, and up the cow would go, and they'd cut the throat, and they'd just take it up into the slaughterhouse and do the whole job, start to finish. And yeah, they were doing sheep and pigs as well, because Jeff Andrews had his own shop, and he used to sell retail meat, and he had 3 farms which used to feed the butchery there. So Kev was kept pretty busy. Then Basil got sick, and basically asked him to come home to Moerewa and help out, because he was having heart trouble. And my granddad, he had a heart attack which led to a stroke. And so Kev was working in the butcher shop, in the works then. Moved into the works and worked there as a butcher. He said his first initiation into the works was, "Oh, here's a beef boy, show us what you can do." And the bosses just stood there, and he just boned out the whole lot, and they're right, "Oh, yeah, you got the job, mate." So straight into the works. So he was in the works for 1 year, 1 season, and he joined the works fire brigade. Yep. And then he got offered a position in the FCO butchery, which is the butchery that's on the side of the road by the works there. Yep. And he was one of 4 workers at that time, and he did 2 years there. And then they offered him the manager's position, and he said they got real busy because they were doing so much stuff. He said they're doing everything, small goods, sausages, patties, all sorts of stuff. And he did that for about 5 years. And then they bought, Mum and Dad bought Plunkett Street. Yep. And then Pug was born in Tauakawa. And Plunkett Street initially was a small little house. And then they got a worker in called Jim Tuhi. And they dragged this half a house over and pulled it up against the house, Uncle Bart? They pulled this half over, and I can remember walking on 6x2 planks between the 2 buildings and stuff when I was a little fella. And Jim Tui was the worker, and Kev really liked his work, and then Jim Tui ended up sort of meeting my nana, and my nana said, "Oh, I got a couple of jobs for you, Jim, and come down and have a look, and oh, you can actually stay here in this room here if you like." And that was it. Jim just stayed on, eh?
Well, when at that stage we'd moved to Kaeo, so it was really good. It worked in perfect. We finished the house. The house we had built in Moerewa, we never even lived in it. We moved to Kaeo and met up with the Donaldson.
So just before that, I'm getting to that again, Mum. I'm getting to it. Hey, just before that, Max and Keith Lloyd offered Kev a partnership to buy Kaeo Butchery from Charlie Bruce, who's the locals. They're still here, the Bruces, and but Kev didn't really want to do the partnership because he said it would have been difficult to make it work because of the Max brothers had a travelling truck that used to go around all the beaches in the day, and he couldn't. He said it wouldn't really work because the diversity of businesses would have been too hard to manage. So Kev went it alone, and they were pretty dirty on him for a little while, eh, Mum? The Lloyd brothers, but yeah, and Charlie Bruce stayed on for a while above the butchery, and Kev worked the business, and Kev actually stayed in Peter Ryken's flats, which are the where John Argent is now, and he was the first place he stayed was upstairs near the post office end, up the long flight of stairs. There was the first flat, and Mum, we stayed down in Moerewa for a while, and Kev worked it for a little while, eh? while there was this changeover period.
The kids stayed. He stayed down with Kevin's mum, and him and I lived
Stayed up.
and that just added a little bit. That first week in Kaeo Butchery was sheer hell for Kevin, because he'd purchased $1,000 worth of meat and he had them hanging in the chillers. And the first week he sold about $100 worth. And then next week it doubled, then it trebled, and from there on it just went 100%. But it was scary when you have $1,000 worth of meat sitting in the freezer and you only sell 1 week $100.
So Charlie Bruce was the chap who was staying upstairs then, and his sons are Boy and Eno and them. And so Charlie moved from above the butchery, and he stayed in the building above Sabi's Indian Takeaways there up on the hill. Yeah, that's where Charlie moved to. And then we moved up, and we all started staying above the butchery then, Mum. Hey.
We did. We lived above the butchery.
So Kev actually went to Kaikwe to sign over the papers for the butchery, and when he came back, the Kaeo White Swan pub burnt to the ground.
Yes, that was
It was a 2-story wooden building where the old pub is now, and it was all wood and had big verandas on it. And yeah, it just burnt to the ground.
We drove.
So about 4 or 5 years after that, living at the butchery, he bought this house, and he also acquired a farm down Dip Road off Murray Leslie, and that was 160 acres of mix of bush and grass, and then he acquired the chemist shop in Ryken's Flats. That was the same purchase. And then he ended up with Sterling Store, which in Kaeo, which is where the bakery and the big yellow chair is now.
The Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, that's right. And he also acquired Ratu Eka, which was a fishing boat, and it seemed to come with Joe Naira as well. A skipper already implanted on the wheel. So Joe Naira stayed here for years as well. And yep, we could tell how long Joe sat in one place because of the pile of the ashtray just went higher and higher till it was like a pyramid. And we had Lorraine Samuels come and work for us, Di. And she drove the fish truck that used to sell the fish that Ratu Eka boat caught. Yep, and then yeah, sort of. Then I've got here paid Mum our inheritance and sold off all the stuff. I got that down there.
Is that what he put down?
No, that's what I put in.
Oh, what a letter. I wish.
So anyway, and after that we cut the block off over here for Kev and Di to move on to that place where our good old mate Murray Kiddo used to be. God rest his soul. Poor old Murray. And anyway, they cut the block off the farm so that that farm will end up in Di's control. At that little piece over there, the block. And Kev lived there with Di and had some good times there. And yeah, it was a lovely time, the last part of his life where he stayed with her, and you know, and I'm sure he wanted it so he could keep an eye on what I was up to. You know, keep an eye, get the binoculars out, see if I'm working. And yeah, that was good. But I used to love going over there and hanging with Roscoe and Doug and Karen and yeah, all the other visitors. Hey, there was a few of them. Yep, and yeah, it's been really good times that because he didn't have the pressure of work on him anymore, and he could just relax and be him. And so it was nice. And then he started getting sicker, and for what it's worth, though, we did the best we could for him. Give him a good send off. And yeah, it was hard the last few days because the man, he just still wanted to go to work, eh? It was just, gotta get up, gotta pack the steak. You know, Dad, the work's all done, you can relax, just stay there. But he just wanted to get up and go, eh? And yeah, and it was tough to see that in him, but at least we got that special time, and Sarah came up for 2 weeks to help us, and we really appreciated that because it took a bit of pressure off Di, and got that help with the medication right and everything, and it made it so that we had a good plan again that we could stick to, and make the last few days as good as it could be for him. And yeah, and he passed early in the morning, and we got him sorted out, and Dee came through the undertaker. He was really good, really great guy. And Ihaka, the cop, came, our cop who grew up in Kaeo here, and he was amazing and said some beautiful corridors for Kev, and just to bring that part of it through as well. And Kev always appreciated the Māori side of everything because I think it gave him that connection. It connected, and it meant a lot to him. And yeah, so that's about the end of my kōrero, and I'm gonna miss my dad, especially living here. But no, I'll hold true to what he taught me.
Uncle Dave. And the stars in the sky don't mean nothing to you, baby. I don't want to talk about it, how you broke my heart. If I stay here just a little bit longer, if I stay here, would you listen to my heart? stay here just a little bit longer? If I stay here, won't you listen to my heart? Oh, my heart. My heart. Okay guys, Uncle Buddy's gonna do our karakia for closing the coffin. So
Matua tamawari tapu ngāne rapono. Pakungia mai mātou I roto te aroha noa. Pai here ti anō ki te rangi maari I ngā wā katoa. A ngā hei tautoko mai aini akre ai.